We will talk today about beauty industry trends and new product launches. And I'm very happy to share that this is, as I mentioned, the first lesson of our free 10-lesson course to master sourcing, packaging, shipping, marketing, AI trends, and reselling. This course is brought to you by Alibaba.com and by America's Beauty Show by the Cosmetologists Chicago Association. As I mentioned, this is the first lesson. Last week, we had an overview of the course, and we will, from today, you can attend 10 lessons. Today, we will, as I mentioned, unveil new trends and new product launches and how to understand which are the trends that are shaping right now the beauty industry and which product launches can be the next big breakthrough of our industry. The course is intended to give anyone an overview of how to create your own beauty product. Next week, we will deliver some tips on how to source on Alibaba.com. And then after that, we will have a lesson on creating your brand identity with Alex Haleander, that is a professor at the Parsons Design School, followed by a lesson on product development, and you will learn about what is primary packaging, secondary packaging, what is a OEM producer, ODM producer, what it means filling, packaging, and what are the certifications that you need when it comes to beauty products. In December, we will deep dive on logistics, how to ship your products from your suppliers here in the US, but also from your warehouses to your final consumers. In January, we will deep dive on financial planning and accounting. We will go through online taxes, compliance, and certification. We will also learn from eComcy, that is an agency specialized in D2C store, how to create your D2C store on the major platforms. Amazing.com will teach you on how to scale your business. And finally, we will unveil the preview of America's Beauty Show, and we will also give you some tips on how to attend March Expo, that is the biggest online trade show on Alibaba.com. These 10 lessons will give you an overview on how to create your beauty products. They are recorded, so we will not take any question during the webinar. Feel free to reach out to us. I will send a follow-up emails with all the instruction and codes that you will see today. And also all our lessons will be available in our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and type Alibaba Buyer Central, and you will find all our webinars. My name is Mattia Miglio. I'm the Director of Business Development in North America. I'm in charge of partnership and user growth. I'm based in Los Angeles, and in United States, we have 5 offices at Alibaba.com, one in New York. I'm broadcasting from our New York office right now. We have an office in Washington, D.C., in Sunnyvale, our headquarters, and in Seattle. We are here to support U.S. companies to source in a more efficient way, to grow and be cost-effective and reach out to new suppliers from all over the world. As I mentioned, we are here today to talk about trends and new product launches. And I'm here today with Melissa Ago. She's a well-known trend forecaster and futurist specializing in beauty and wellness. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, Mattia. Thank you for having me.
And I'm thrilled to have this course for two reasons. The first one is because the beauty industry represents the third industry in Alibaba.com. We host more than 2 million active buyers. We monthly send more than 8,000 requests for quotations to our suppliers. And our buyers ask more than 230 times a month to our suppliers for beauty products. And you can find in this industry more than 300,000 products. So if you want to launch your brand, if you want to create your own beauty product, Alibaba.com is the B2B platform for you. We are a truly international marketplace, so you will find suppliers from more than 130 regions. So not only from Asia, but you will find suppliers, especially for in beauty products, from OEM and ODM manufacturers from Europe, United States, and Latin America as well. The partnership with America's Beauty Show will allow you to enter to a personalized sourcing experience. In Alibaba.com, we know that sometimes can be tricky to navigate our platform because, as I mentioned, we have more than 300,000 suppliers. That's why we have partnered with America's Beauty Show to make it easy for you and more accessible for you to use our platform, especially if you are a beauty professional or if you're a young entrepreneur that wants to launch its own beauty brand. So we have also designed some special benefits and coupons just for you. So, and also, as I mentioned, we have this free 10 lesson course that is brought to you by us and in partnership with America's Beauty Show. So if you type America Beauty Show in our search bar, you will enter in a personalized sourcing experience. We have selected a catalog of products that keeps updating, also based on special offers that we have in our platform. Also, you will understand how and why we are partnering with American Beauty Show. But as I mentioned, I'm very happy to host this webinar today for two reasons. This is the first one because we are partnering with America's Beauty Show, because we are helping beauty professionals to grow and establish new brands, but also because we're talking about beauty. And many of you know that I worked in the beauty industry for many years. So even if is the third category, the third industry in Alibaba.com, in my heart is the first industry. So I'm very glad that we had a chance to partner with Alibaba.com. And I'm very happy also today because we will hear from Melissa Ago. I've been working with Melissa since probably 2015 when I started to work for the beauty industry. As I mentioned, by entering the program, by typing America's Beauty Show, if you're a new buyer in our platform, you will have access to exclusive benefit and coupons up to $3,999 US per year by joining our platform. You don't have to do anything, just enroll in Alibaba.com as a buyer is free of charge. And I remind you all that we don't take any commission on sales, so feel free to purchase our product, and you will enter these exclusive benefits and coupons that we have designed for beauty professionals. But when it comes to sourcing, sometimes, as I mentioned, can be tricky. We are a platform that is designed to create trust between sellers and buyers and suppliers all over the world. So buyers, especially here in the US, sometimes need a special assistance. That's why the most important feature of the collaboration with America's Beauty Show is probably the dedicated support for all America's Beauty Show attendees and anyone that attends this online course. We are giving a dedicated support based here in the US. So you will receive after this webinar an email with my contact details, with of details of a partnership, and with a special offers that we have today. And today, if it is your first time to order on Alibaba.com, we have two coupons. You can scan the QR code or just wait for my follow-up emails with the instruction how to use these two coupons. These two coupons are global, so are for US buyers, but also for buyers outside the US. So we have a $30 off a minimum order of $100, or you can just scan the QR code, or you can type the code that you see in the screen in our search bar. And we have also a coupon of $20 off a minimum order of $21. So with just $1, you can try our platform. Our goal is to register you as a buyer and make you understand how easy today is to use our platform. And now I'm leaving to Melissa. Melissa will talk about trends and new product launches. So Melissa, I leave it to you. Thanks.
Alibaba, American's Beauty Show, for having me today. I'm excited to talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about, trends, especially in the beauty and wellness industry. So just a little bit about me, for anyone who doesn't know me, I've been in the trend forecasting industry for over 18 years. I actually started in fashion, but around 12 years ago, I saw that there was a need for beauty and wellness trends. So I pivoted into that industry, and I don't regret it at all. It's such a fascinating industry to me. There's so much to it. There's science, technology. Within my trend forecasting role, I've had the pleasure of being able to travel to over 50 countries, spotting trends, attending trade shows, and getting to immerse myself in the culture. What I think the great thing about being able to travel is being able to actually live these trends. So writing and researching about Ayurveda and then going to India and experiencing it the same, talking about blue zones and blue beauty, and then being able to go to Greece and experience it as well. So it's been not only something that I report on, but that I live as well. I've presented over 100 trend presentations at leading trade show, webinars, every topic you can probably think about, from fragrance and hair care and skincare, all the categories that beauty offers. And sometimes I contribute insights to publications like Vogue, Beauty Matter, Global Cosmetic Industry, Well and Good. The list goes on. So today I'm really going to talk about the trend forecasting world. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not, and especially when looking to launch a new brand, I think trends can become overwhelming. So it's really important to understand, how do trends work? How does trend forecasting work? So I'm going to touch on 5 points in this presentation, but they really narrow down into 3 big buckets. So there's the big picture, which is understanding cultural movements, lifestyle shifts. There's a research component, which is really immersing in education from multiple sources. And then it's understanding your brand. So using this relevant information to help you with creating your brand. So the first one is cultural movements. And like I said, what's important about trends is this big picture thinking. I think a lot of people, especially new to the industry, might just think about TikTok trends, might just see what's on social media. But before those become the hype, the trends of the moment, really it comes to the big picture. What I love about the beauty industry, that it's not just about those trends that we see on social media. A lot of these trends do come from bigger movements. So some examples include the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter. We've seen how Black Lives Matter made a huge shift in the beauty industry, the way diversity in products, the diversity in campaigns, the same with Me Too. That movement really stirred the sexual wellness. Women's wellness is another topic. Right now we're seeing a lot in menopause and postpartum. So, it's interesting to understand that these big picture movements do correlate back into the industry, into all different categories. And I think what's important also is just being aware of global news, of topic, things like climate change. How is that going to affect the industry when it comes to products, when it comes to what we put on our skin, politics, who wins the election, technology. So I think, again, this is something that a lot of people skip or may not be aware of, but it's super important part of understanding trends. It's understanding these big movements. So along with cultural, there's also these lifestyle shifts. So how are consumers living these days? How are they shopping? We've seen things like TikTok made me buy it. We've seen retail kind of and malls die for a little bit in some areas and go virtual shopping and then come back. What do consumers expect from brands? So really, these lifestyle behaviors, these lifestyle shifts. I think another great example and trends we've seen in the past, like less is more, of how the consumers decided that they only wanted products that were better for you, but less products. Another great example are disability products. That is a shift that we've seen over the last few years, more and more brands incorporating, packaging for disabilities. So this is another great, and it goes with the cultural movements because cultural is talking about what's happening in the world and lifestyle is really about how we're living. I think another great example to understand these shifts is COVID. When COVID happened, the biggest trend at the moment was protection. It was hands-free. It was wanting science backed. And that changed a lot of what people were buying at the time. So again, that was a really big lifestyle shift. And besides seeing it in product, we also see it in terms. So a really big one at the moment is we're moving away from terms like anti-aging to aging well. And this is due to trends that we're seeing in longevity and wellness. And, we're seeing more in generational. So again, it's important to also understand how are we living these days? What's impacting us? And this really tackles all parts of the industry. And even color, when you think of color, I know when I started the industry, it's like, okay, how do they know that red is hot? They just decide one day that that's the color. Like, no, there's actually the big picture thinking besides that. Are we feeling sad? Do we need that, jolt of orange for happiness? Are we having a dark moment? Do we see movies like what or like Wednesday, Beetlejuice? Like, is there a goth moment? Are we going into a darker aesthetic? So even things like color are really, really affected by our lifestyle shifts. So once these big picture thinking comes to mind, then comes the fun part, the beauty research. And where does research come from? Research really can come from everywhere. You can come from beauty trade shows. There's so many internationally, locally. It can come from industry news. Again, there's so many great online resources where you can just keep up to date on what's happening, what's out there. One of my favorites are just events and talks. And I personally even think the smaller, the better. A lot of trends that I've spotted in the past have come to life through talks that were between 10 and 20 people. A great example is I once attended an event, again, it was 10 people, and this lady mentioned how she wanted to start a non-alcoholic bar. And at the time, this was before the Sober Curious movement. So at the time, everyone was just kind of like, wait, what? Like a bar that doesn't serve alcohol? But that's when I knew. I was like, okay, she's onto something. Like this small talk with 10 people, but this one person is onto something. And that's the fun part of trend forecasting, getting to use your gut, your intuition, seeing what sparks, like where does that newness come into? And from that moment, again, this was probably 6-7 years ago before the Sober Curious movement started. And now we see how there's so many more brands that are serving non-alcoholic, how celebrities are also diving into the non-alcohol brands and bars. So the same with the sexual wellness movement. I attended a small talk, 20 people, and again, this wonderful woman spoke about, sexual wellness. And I was like, oh, wow, it's so interesting. It's something we haven't spoken about in this industry. So it's those things, the more education, the more research, the more you're able to attend, you'll understand. And what's interesting about beauty research is that, quantitative and qualitative information are just as important. It's nice to have data. It's nice to see, okay, what's trending, what's not trending, what has done well, what hasn't. But it's also about, again, listening to that gut, listening to your intuition. And when you have that little spark of like, okay, that seems like someone is onto something, that might turn into something bigger. And then, of course, part of the beauty research are social media trends. So we've had this summer the Brat Summer. Last summer was all about Barbie core. So yeah, it's still nice to keep updated to understand what's happening. What there's always a core that's trending from what shows are impacting. So there's definitely a lot of different ways to do beauty research when thinking about starting a brand. And AI is something that, I'll touch on as well because it's really changing the way that we work, the way that we think, and AI is also changing the trend forecasting industry. So we're seeing how research, using AI, we're seeing how product development we can do it using AI. And really the future of trend forecasting, I think it's definitely going to merge human intelligence with AI intelligence. A great example is I actually presented at a webinar earlier in the year for Sparks and Honey, and they actually had their AI give some of the answers. And it was so mind blowing to me because I had the answers for my questions beforehand, and I didn't get asked all of them because there was a few panelists and the AI answered some of the questions and we had the same answer. Like I was like, okay, this is really kind of freaky because the AI, she is answering it at the time, but like I'm reading my notes and I was like, oh, I wrote down like almost the same exact thing. So it's really, I know, it's really interesting to see how we can use AI intelligence to our advantage, but also while using human intelligence, of course. And then lastly is really just understanding your needs. I think what's important is that trends can become overwhelming. There's so many of them. Beauty has such a vast amount of categories, like I mentioned, fragrance, hair color, makeup, color, formulations. There's so much to it. So I think what's important is to really know that not all trends are made for everyone. Really understanding your voice, your consumer. The consumer these days, there's so much out there and they really kind of leverage towards brands that are being authentic. So, when starting a brand, it's understanding why are you starting this? What is the passion behind it? What is the message behind it? And again, there'll always be all these kind of trends, but maybe Brat Summer isn't your aesthetic, or Barbiecore isn't your aesthetic, and that's okay. So I think it's nice to know what's out there and what's resonating, but also understanding your needs and what you should do for your brand. And of course, again, trend forecasting, there's a lot of information out there. It can be very overwhelming. And that's why there are trend experts like myself, and there are different companies to really help you unlock these kind of needs, to really help you understand, to do that deep dive and maybe into the cultural and lifestyle shifts and the research and help you, when making your decisions. So thank you. I hope everyone got to learn a little bit about trend forecasting. If you have any questions, like Matthias said, please email them. You can email me as well. And please follow me on LinkedIn. And I hope to hear more. And yeah, I hope everyone gets to dive into the wonderful world of trends. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa, and thanks to all of you. I hope that this first lesson was useful. So before creating your brand, you need to understand how to forecast and what you have to do to analyze the trends. So Melissa gave you some valuable insights. She gave you also your LinkedIn and her your email. As she mentioned, we are supporting beauty professionals and beauty entrepreneurs to understand trends thanks to our AI sourcing agent and platform. And so you can understand if your idea, your needs are valuable, but also is very important to use expert, to contact expert to understand if your idea, your product is then something that the final consumer will purchase and will use. So once again, thank you. I remind you that the next lesson will be on November 5th with Stella. Stella, she will deep dive on how to use Alibaba.com from the perspective of a beauty professional and entrepreneur. So thank you for joining us. I remind you that I will send you a follow-up email with all the details and the YouTube link to rewatch the recording of this lesson. And thank you, Melissa and America's Beauty Show, for being with us today. Thank you.